Well, we need a freer space to practice media, but also making sure that we join the campaign. We also want you to keep your comments coming through our social media platforms and make sure you use the hashtag Defend Media Freedom and also JoyNews. It's a hashtag. But we have Raymond Aqua here to expatiate more on the subject. Good morning to you, Raymond.
Good morning.
Yeah, and all this we're doing is to...
Yes, clearly make sure that we safeguard that particular space. And now, over the period, let's start from 1992. We moved in 1991 after the repeal of the newspaper licensing laws. We moved into a space where we were allowing more people to set up their own private enterprise and all of that, and making sure that people can speak their minds without inhibitions or looking over their shoulder. What has happened over the period, and just around 2000, we consistently scored very high on the freedom houses, what they call it, freedom ranking and press freedom ranking, which got us to be in the category of a free media society, that is Ghana. Just around 2015, 2016, we moved from being totally free to partially free or partly free. It shows you that the red flags started showing at the time, that there are incidents, specific ones, that suggested that the people who practice in this space, unlike doctors, unlike nurses, they have peculiar challenges that prevents them from doing the work that they ought to do fully. So let me take just February 2017 to just around June of this particular year. There were 41 specific violations of the rights of media people.
In what forms?
Specifically, there was a killing. We know that. We know Ahmed Swali's own happened. And the only other time we've had a cinema was like 4 or 5 years ago. So there was a killing. There were 21 physical attacks on journalists who go about having to record, having to go cover an event, and then are subjected to attacks first by military officers, by police officers, and even within our own setup here, we can list the people, not only the reporters, but also cameramen who work here who have been subjected to these kind of attacks. There's also been attacks on media houses as institutions. And for a very long time, since the repeal of our laws and all of that, we've now had one phenomenon rearing its head again. There's been closures of radio stations, perceivably in opposition thinking form of radio stations. All of these are serious red flags that ought to be identified, dealt with, so that this important practice that is guaranteed by the Constitution, Article 164, doesn't get to be trampled on, doesn't get to be played like one small issue, so that it becomes a bigger problem. Now, states, they have actually lost the freedom of media, started off not just one night. They went through the phases. It reached the point people say, okay, well, the incidents are going to happen, but if you don't treat them specifically and raise them, and make people understand that a freer environment for media practice is in their interest. And the Lekman example is pretty much clear in this particular case. If there's a freer environment for media practice, you get development happening. You get somebody doing the job of having to look over your government for you, and you get to make sure that your issues are played out the way it ought to be played out. So it's in the interest of the policymaker, it's in the interest of government in many forms, it's in the interest of the ordinary person, and in those in the practice that we protect journalists, we make sure that these red flags are increasingly becoming more problematic by the day are dealt with.
So we're going to do advocacy?
Yes.
Increase thoughts, leadership conversations?
Yes. And we're actually going to make sure people understand what we're really talking about in detailed form. We are going to speak and bring to you the people who fought for the current space that we're actually enjoying today. Now, the 1989 newspaper licensing law was a very interesting one. It required that if you wanted to actually set up just a newspaper, you needed to be vetted, to be deemed to be somebody who was not a threat to the state. And imagine if you were somebody who was very critical of the government, you would never have the opportunity of doing so. People, and let me give you a small space. Even when we had repealed all of these laws, between 1994 and 1996, there was human excrement deliberately dropped at the offices of media practice. Imagine you came to work one day this morning and the whole place is smelling because some people did not like the kind of report that you have gone through. We've moved from this phase. Whenever there are threats to the space that you are actually occupying today, you ought to single out these threats and deal with them so that they don't become the regular base.
And we have an event to herald this ultimately,
yes.
Or if not commence this.
3 p.m. we are going to officially launch this particular engagement that we will be engaging the people of this republic, policymakers, and all of the other people involved. 3 p.m., we would actually tell you what the real problem is. We would actually move on to tell you what we intend doing beyond what the problem is supposed to be. And the dialogue would happen in such a way that we would have every other part of the issue being dealt with. We are not going to say that protect journalists just because they are journalists. We are saying that let all of us work in ways that can protect the state and promote development. And that's what we are going to be doing later on today.
Well, thank you, Raymond Akwa, and giving us great insight. And 3 p.m. live on the channel. Make sure you join us. It's not only the channel that you can watch us. We're also live on Facebook, JoyNews on TV. We have a Twitter handle like JoyNews on TV. You can also watch us live on my Online TV on YouTube. All of them you can comment using the hashtag defend media freedom and also JoyNews as a hashtag. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you some highlights from the world of entertainment. And for entertainment, you can follow us on all our social media platforms. JoyNews on TV, our Twitter handle, with same handle as well. And make sure that you watch us live, Major Online TV, for all the entertainment updates, especially on majoronline.com. But it's your birthday today. ACP Kwesi Forio, Director of Operations, Accra Region Police Command. Have a great day, sir. But in the meantime, we have to call it a morning, but we have regular programming on the channel. We also know that you're going to enjoy us throughout the rest of the day. Please make sure that you keep posting more of your comments through Facebook, Twitter, and also my Online TV on YouTube. That's it for the morning. Bye-bye.